the preacher in the year of '01. When you think it's all over, it's only begun.
Yeehaw! Hey, Pilgrims, we're back. It's Preacher versus Preacher. It's a comparison companion podcast where each week we get together and we recap the show and we compare it to the book it's based on from the 90s, originally by Garth Ennis and Steve Dillon. I'm Bill Sweeney, and I got my buddy Dominic.
What's up, guys? Welcome
I got
back.
my brother Bob.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
You can usually hear us if you like to hear us, maybe, I don't know, elsewhere. You can hear us on the Wicked Theory podcast. But hey, if not, no big whoop. You know,
it's a pretty cool show.
Yeah, I mean, we're partial to it.
We go live on Mixler every Saturday night at 7 p.m. Eastern. That's MIXLR. If you have an iPhone, you can download the app. If you have an Android, you can download that app.
Complete with chat room, and we do chat room games.
You guys are getting gold stars. Let me tell you. You guys are...
Well, it's because we actually have an opportunity to get a word in.
If I let you do it, you'll swing. I didn't know. All right, so, but we got guests. We got two this time.
Uh-oh.
Wonderful guests.
Well, we've had two running all season, so we figured bring them in together. We'll double up.
We've been going back to back.
Yeah, we've been switching it on and off, and we were like, well, what are we going to do for the finale? So we brought them back. We brought them together. We've got freelance writer for entertainmentweekly.com, Sara Netzley.
Well, hello.
Sorry.
Well, hello. And we've got our blog master general, Agent Palmer, from agentpalmer.com, and, from helping out us with our other shows.
Yeah, so cue the crickets.
Oh.
No, I'm kidding.
Howdy, Pilgrims.
That's why he's
No,
always
there
here.
he is. There he is. Just want to make sure he was there.
I feel like Palmer hasn't been on in a while. Maybe that's just, I don't know.
No.
Did we go 2 weeks in a row with Sara?
Mm-hmm.
I think we went 2 weeks in a row with Sara.
Did we?
Or we
I
skipped a
think-
week with a guest.
Yeah,
We
I think
skipped a
that's
week
what
with a guest.
happened.
I think that's what it was. But happy to have you both back.
Yes,
Love yous.
always.
Always. So if you want to follow either of them, you can follow them on Twitter. You can follow Sara at Sara Netzley, SARANETZLEY. You can follow Agent Palmer there too, at Agent Palmer. If you can't spell that, then I'm not even going to help you.
Mm-hmm.
It's Agent and it's Palmer.
Right.
It's not. There's no challenge.
Now, when you follow him, don't follow too close because then that becomes stalking.
Yeah, and he's a spy. He should be following you.
Yeah, really.
All right. So you can follow us too, Dom_Tory on Twitter.
That's TORRE.
That's right. And you can follow Bob.
From a distance.
From a safe distance.
At Bob WTPC. Yeah, that's probably the thing. Yeah, I got to say safe distance.
A safe distance.
You don't want to be too close to me.
And then I'm at Wicked Theory. This show is at Preach vs. Preach. And the show itself is on Stitcher, iTunes, Google Play Music. Subscribe, rate, and review. Because that's, the official business stuff. But a couple other things to mention real quick before we get into the episode recap. If you go to wickedtheory.com, we've actually got a post about Preacher, kind of. It's, hey, this show loves music, uses it in crazy ways. A lot of good songs actually used this week, interestingly enough. But
Whole season, really, in particular.
I wish I had the link on the top of my head right now, but I found a website that lists like every song in like every episode of a show, like, you know what I mean, that they can find access to. And if you go through it, it's like, oh, I didn't even realize half of these songs were like people like I knew or something.
Right.
But yeah, so we got an article where it's like, hey, like we kind of like threw together personal suggestions for songs that they might want to use. So check it out. It's at wickedtheory.com. It's songs Preacher hasn't used yet, but should.
That website Bill was referring to is tunefind.com.
That's exactly it. Holy crap.
Tunefind.com.
Get out of my browser. Like, what are you in my bookmarks now? I have to get nervous?
He keeps us up. We're not going to need Ed.
I think he's following you too closely is the problem.
He might.
No, I think it's just this great 21st century invention called Google.
Wow, how do you spell that? Google.
That's it.
I like it. Okay.
That is it.
So yeah,
What
go
is
check out.
happening right now?
Are you all right? Are you not enjoying this anymore?
I'm just so confused as to what show I'm on right now.
You're on this one. Whether it sounds different than usual or not, you're on this one. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I've been listening to a lot of podcasts recently. I think that's what it is.
You think like subconsciously you've become more podcast proficient?
I think so.
Okay, I'm willing to buy it.
Yeah.
Anything will help. The shows that we put out, I mean. Also, too, real quick, Absolute Preacher Contest, Absolute PvP, actually, is the hashtag. It's still running, and even though this episode is going to be our last episode of this show for now, you do have until this Saturday, which is, what's that? That's actually, the date is going to be the 16th of September, 2017, if you're listening to us in the future. Sorry. But go to wickedtheory.com. There's a link right there at the top of the page. You can't miss it. We're giving away a $100 book. Somebody please take a stab at it, because otherwise it's going straight to Chad NV, because there's not going to be, I don't know who to give the poster to. Let's put it like that. The $100 book goes out to the grand prize winner.
Right. Whoever
puts in legwork to help promote the show is really how it goes.
Now,
and I think the other guy who runs a preacher page might end up getting it, because he's the only other guy kind of doing it.
That's all right.
Hey, but whatever.
But no, I actually have never seen this book, any volume in person until today. I was in the Barnes & Noble by my school.
Say what?
And just went looking in the comics aisle.
Actual bookstore?
See, that's what I was going to say, too. It's
yeah.
Like, hey,
we have them still here.
Hey, you go to school B, you go to bookstores. Like, I am so blown away.
Well, I only had to go to the
bookstores.
Still?
I only had to go to the bookstore because I needed a book for school that I probably won't read.
But I appreciate the honesty.
But no, this book, to get back on track with it, the book is dope.
It's a tome. It's literally like a tome.
It's cool.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, Chad. Well,
yeah, he's actually helped a little bit, because he's taken more pictures of his copy. Because for those who don't know, Chad won it last season.
Right.
So at least he'll get book 2 out of this. Right. But, like, you know.
Considering that you can get a normal novel for about $20.
Yeah.
You got to be getting a lot of stuff if this is 100 plus.
Yeah. Well, it's
you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's just oversized. It's hardcover. It comes with a slip case. It's got scripts. It's got art.
Yeah, that's why I'm going. There's a lot of extras. And
it's a long run, too, of issues, I think, that it collects. Because I think there's only going to be like 3 or 4 of them in total.
There's got to only be.
You know
so
what
there's
got
to be like 12 or 15 at least in each.
Yeah, something like that.
Maybe.
Well, it runs to 66, so I would think about 30 issues, maybe ballpark. Or something.
Well, yeah, if it's going to be 2 volumes, then it would be 30 in each.
Yeah, something like that. So
or 3 would be 20-something.
3, yeah. So, because it just announced a 3rd. So, there you go, folks. It's go check it out on wickedtheory.com.
And, hey,
up in the top corner.
Tune in to our show on Saturday night at 7 p.m. Eastern.
To see who wins.
To see who wins.
See who wins.
Because it might be you.
/Wicked-Theory. Okay, so last thing too is that there will be actually a special announcement that involves Sara. Just saying, something else going on there.
Oh wow,
that was the most forced sounding. Yay! Under duress, yay!
I think she
just
if I didn't know better, I would think it was more.
I don't want to underhype.
Yeah, exactly. Don't want to overhype. Don't want to oversell.
I'm glad that was the case. I was like, oh man, she's got second thoughts.
All right, so figure that out, folks, from our vagaries, and then join us on Saturday, 7 p.m. Standard Eastern Standard Time. Okay, so that's it. The last thing to kind of get to is that spoiler warning, is that we really don't give you spoiler warnings anymore. This is it. Get out. If you haven't read the books and you don't want us to spoil it for you, then go enter that damn contest and get book 1.
Yeah.
How about that? And then, come back next season and listen to all of our episodes.
And seriously, if you're watching this show and haven't...
If you're watching this show, that's amazing.
And you haven't read the book, right?
Oh, watching Preacher.
Like
I thought you meant
if you're voluntarily watching Preacher on AMC
right.
without having read the book or having interest in reading the book.
Fair enough.
I just don't
You don't want to associate with them.
I just don't understand.
Well, what's funny, too, is like if you actually go to the Reddit for Preacher, for the show, that's all there is people asking questions who haven't read the books of the people who have read books. Okay. Does this happen in the book? And all people tell them is like, well, the book is completely different from the show. You should probably go get the book. Because it won't ruin the show in any way, really, for you. Because it's like you can't... When you start to look at where it takes a left and where it takes a right, they're separate animals at this point. But we'll get into that. Yeah. But we'll get into a lot of that because we're breaking down the season finale, folks. Here we go. That's the book bell. You heard it once. That was a test run. Bob was making sure it's going.
A nice quiet one.
Nice quiet one. When we get to something that's from the book, we usually ring that. All right. So
it may sound more like this. or maybe even a little louder. But
depends on his level of excitement.
Yeah,
I think they've heard about.
But yeah, I think. Well, I don't know how much they actually heard the first time I rang it. It was so quiet.
But that's it. All right, now we're in it. I think.
Yeah.
We in this bitch.
Most of the time, we don't
bitch.
use the bell that much.
I'm gonna hear from Bob's favorite right now.
They pretty much grow dumbass crazy here.
It's a little bit of Tulip for you from Wesley. Wesley, fan of our other show, sent that to me. All right, so here we go. And we're going to try and keep this organized because we got, 2 people on the Skype line. So we're going to see how this system goes.
Emphasis on try.
Emphasis on emphasis.
Yeah.
So episode 13, it's called End of the Road, which is a nice little nod to episode 1 of the season, which was On the Road. But it opens up with teen Jesse. Young teen Jesse dressed like Colonel Sanders, hanging out by the roadside. And he's ushering people who've come to coming down this road. And they're actually looking for Angelville, which has been mentioned. And he's kind of guiding them onto the property. Basically, he gets their money, when they come through a little bit. This lady wants to reconnect with her lost, maybe dead cat. Not really sure. She kind of hints go either way. But it's $8 parking lady, gated tours every hour. Gift shop closes at 5. So then there's a montage of his day that goes by. People come by, tourists. He takes pictures.
A lot of traffic at Angelville.
It seemed like it.
They were doing great. They were busy.
They made a couple bucks. Yeah. Gated tours every hour, right. So at one point he swipes a wallet. There's this damn chicken hanging around, constantly getting in his seat. Another undercover cop actually comes by, tries to get in, and he's talking about tombs. Like, I want to go down to tombs. I want to see some blood. But Jesse catches the vibe. He's a cop, and he leaves. Before I throw it to you guys, maybe I should just kind of run this out to. I'm trying to figure out should I just read out this whole scene, or should I throw it to Agent Palmer at this point? Hey, Agent Palmer, you got anything? Thinking?
I just want to say that young Jesse, as Colonel Sanders, with the bolo that's not quite straight ever.
Right.
He's kept his style since he was a kid, is all I'll say.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. His style. What, suits that don't fit him quite right?
That too.
I was going to say, it's no style, basically.
Yeah, I guess.
Relaxed. It's relaxed.
It's relaxed. It's relaxed. All right, well, this is kind of a change up from the book and stuff,
Definitely.
That this even happens.
Yeah. We actually never see Jesse as a teen in the book, if I remember correctly.
Right. Kind of like young kid, maybe it's like 10 or so, but
the flashbacks we get of him in the book are very young.
Yeah, I'm getting
8 to 10.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, 8 to 10 is good. Yeah.
All right, Sarah, thoughts on Jesse Sanders?
Well, you guys went Jesse Sanders. I went Jesse Gump.
Oh,
Forrest Custer. There was just a little bit of that Run Forrest feel to me. But
it's there.
Colonel Sanders works. Whichever pop culture weird Southern dude you want to gravitate to there works. But I didn't think about this, Palmer, but him dressing like Colonel Sanders, he was basically all in white in that scene, right? I'm not misremembering that. And so now today, Jesse's dressed all in black. So that's kind of interesting, too, if you want to look at wardrobe as metaphor for what's in a person's heart, where a person's life has gone, just all white as a child, all black as an adult. Kind of interesting.
And Jesse, when you first meet him even Jesse, when they first meet him in the comic as a preacher, he's wearing actually all white, and it doesn't last long. God knows, you can't keep that clean. So then,
although the Grail can, if you're in the Grail, you keep that shit white.
Yeah, a lot of bleach.
Well, they own all of the dry cleaners.
That's probably what it is. It's all in-house.
Well, yeah, Grail Industries.
Grail Industries. That's where they make the most of their money. All right, so then, get this montage. These people come by, touristy kind of stuff, the undercover cop. So after that guy leaves, another truck comes down the road, and it's TC and Jody, who are characters from the book, but they're both unseen, and they don't speak. This gives, they toss him a bagged lunch, Jesse gives them the day's take. He's been getting this money from people, but TC puts his hand out. He wants more. I guess he knows Jesse's usually skimming. So Jesse reluctantly gives up that wallet that he took earlier. And then TC fucking snatches his hand and twists his wrist up, And then they pull away. And angry Jesse's all like annoyed and angry and stuff. And the chicken is like on his chair and he shoos it away, but he's angry. So he stomps on it, basically snaps its neck, I guess. They don't really show you, but that's what happens.
Teenage angst.
Kids, So he quickly regrets it because that's Jesse. I guess that's what it's coming down to is like his just internal thing's been going on forever with him where he's got a heart, but he wants to, he's got anger issues. He runs into the house, runs all the way to the house, doing the Forrest Gump. He enters this creepy-ass room. We know, as readers of the book, it's probably his grandma. Actually, she's in the credits, so it's got to be her. It's the only other person in the credits. And he's like, I don't know, if you can help, So she goes, well, everything has a price. And she puts the dead chicken on the table on top of the tarot cards. And then we go into the opening credits. So what do we think about that? Palmer, what are your thoughts on coming into that section?
I'm kind of... I don't want to get too ahead of anything, but it's hard to look at this scene without taking a look at the last scene.
Absolutely.
Because the last thing we see of the entire season is Jesse and Cassidy with Tulip in the back seat drive up that long road and a chicken runs by, which I'm going to say is the same chicken. And I know that doesn't make much sense to people, but I'm going to go with that's the same chicken because whatever power brought that chicken back gave it a lot of extra juice.
Is that what happens? Sometimes they come back with some extra? Dom, I see you nodding in agreement. I see you nodding in agreement about the chicken.
Yeah, I was of the same belief myself. I know it's kind of funny to think about, though, because it's like if it was the same chicken, then that implies that it's been around this whole time, and we know chickens don't really have that long of a life. So we know where this is going to jump the gun.
I kind of thought I crushed this theory pre-show from you guys.
When Tulip inevitably is brought back,
right.
Does that mean now she's like immortal or
she's
some
got
shit?
a little extra.
Because then that's a problem, continuity-wise, if the chicken is immortal.
I think you need to... someone needs to tweet at Seth Rogen or Evan or Sam.
I'll tweet Evan. He replied to me once.
So
I'll tweet him.
I'll tweet him again. Of all the questions I have coming out of the finale, is that the same chicken at the end as the beginning? Because I think it looks exactly the same. Therefore, it must be.
Yeah, I think that's the number one question on
Dear Evan, we have questions about the chicken.
I think one thing about this.
Yeah. Here we go.
These guys have been doing this kind of crap for 2 seasons. Why do we think they're going to stop now? Why don't you think that it's the chicken? That's the same chicken. All right, because
fair enough. Hey,
with all the other crap they've done, why not this too?
And they'll put those Easter eggs in there and come back to things. They like to do that too. I'll give them credit on that. Like they do like to do.
Yeah, they come up with the idea when they're smoking the joint, and then when they're done with the joint, they finish it.
All right. Any other thoughts on this Jesse meeting? Well, us meeting TC and Jody a little bit.
Am I going to be the only one to say that chicken was in there to taunt the book readers, right? So we were like, "There's a chicken. There's TC. There's TC in a chicken."
Well, I was just basically going to say, what we should have seen was TC ask him for the chicken in a very lascivious way.
Right. The hand, when he got the wallet, he should have put the wallet in the truck. But then went, no, shake, no, and then point to the chicken. And then bring me the chicken. And him being like, the face on him is like, oh no, what are you going to do to the chicken? But it's all in face, because they don't, they're pre-establishing.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That would be phenomenal.
And then the chicken would be walking funny. And then you would know it's the same chicken at the end. Because when they come back around, they throw the dead chicken at him. They used it up, you know what I mean? And now it's walking funny at the end of the episode.
Right, or you see its back end and it's like spread.
All right.
One step too far, Bob. There's a lady in the room, and she's from out of state, so they have a different sensibility.
Or maybe it's gotten butt implants.
See?
Or maybe we should just get back to the notes.
Yeah,
All
maybe.
right,
well, we have to go to Sarah. Sarah, thoughts on nothing we said? Do you have anything?
I have so many thoughts about this chicken resurrection thing. You're gonna have to clear some time for me at the end because I have some things to say. But let's wait till we get to the end.
Yeah. We'll work on our fanfic later. All right, so she's going to pass on that. So in the present day, Jesse and Star are actually at a Catholic school, and because Star feels like we have to start somewhere, we got to build you up, and I know messiahs, and this is how they start. And he puts like Doctor Strange's extra cape on him.
Yeah.
Which I was like, hey, not bad, actually. You know, with the beard and stuff, like, you could pass. You probably would have made a decent look. And
12th century.
You know, and you got an English accent, so you can just do whatever Benedict Cumberbatch did, you know. So with that, he's like, nah, I'm not wearing this stupid thing. Then they go into a full classroom where the nun basically says to the kids, like, if you're good, he'll perform a miracle.
Right.
Sure.
Before we get into that, the one thing that I said at this point was, they're going to make him the Messiah, and they're not going to give him a friggin' haircut.
It's trendy.
It's
I know. Look, you know, I think it's silly.
He looks like a kid from Kid and Play.
I feel like it's like during the course of an episode, at times it's 6 inches high, and other times it's like only 3.
Yeah.
And then, like, I don't know, is it sleepy?
Well, I think it's at what point in the season has he had a haircut?
Right. So with that, you know, one of the kids is like, oh, is it God? Is he God? And she's like, no. It's a very stern no, but close. Jesse tries reading this speech that Star has prepared for him, but it's very much, you can tell Star prepared it. It's got a lot of, you know, the world is filled with, you know, atrocities and hate and rape. The night is dark and full of terrors, kids, yes, basically. And so as he's starting to read it, this gunfire breaks out. This nun comes in. The Armenians are back. Armenians. I didn't know there was such. I don't know where we are now at this point. I'm like, we're not in the States. Yeah. This is a mission. Okay, this is a missionary kind of thing. But Jesse's like, you know, I guess like very expert in these things. He has all the kids flip the tables, get behind the tables, clear them out, make some room. We need a dance floor. We're gonna have an action scene. Which was where I realized on the rewatch, I'm like, oh, he just had them push all the desks to the back, so there's this big opening for a big
right. You didn't catch that the first time.
No, I mean, not as, you know, I should have. I feel bad.
Now,
what's up there, buddy?
Like, we know, we'll get to it in the notes, but we find out later that this was all planned out.
Yeah.
Like, this wasn't just a chance thing.
Right.
So, Star's way of introducing Jesse as the Messiah didn't involve the word; it just involved his insane fighting skills.
No. I mean,
it did, but he failed, right?
It turned into.
Okay, all right. Forget I even said that then.
Fair enough.
I totally forgot that he failed on the word.
But
thank you, Palmer. Appreciate it.
So Jesse has to move the kids back so we can do a really cool fight scene. The bad guys want the nuns and the kids. So he tries the word, and the word doesn't work. And so fight it is. Jesse gets the main bad guy's gun, and then, like, unloads in a room full of kids 5 rounds into the guy. So, like, this, thank God they were blanks, I guess, you know what I mean? Because Jesse would have just been killing this dude hard in front of these little kids.
Now, Bill.
Yeah, Palmer, jump in.
I feel like we need to talk about the thing that I don't think Jesse is as concerned with as he should be, which is why the word doesn't work. And at this point, how long the word doesn't work. And it appears to me that there's got to be some correlation between Star taking his soul from the saint and the word not working. That's what I'm going with.
That sounds like a more fair reason than, because at first I was like, from when he lost, because I thought it might have been from when he lost the piece of soul, but
I feel like that's when we first started seeing the change in the word, though, like when he gets sent to hell, the saint, basically.
No, but it still works
earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it kind of works that it phases out.
Yeah,
right?
I think somehow it's got to be tied to yours. It's tied to your soul, but I think that in some ways, and we kind of know this from the backstory, and there's a kind of innocence to the saint. I feel like, yeah, the word still worked when the saint had his soul, because the saint's still kind of an innocent, despite the fact of all the atrocities he's done. Whereas, well, Herr Star's in possession of that 1%, so that dude is not innocent at all. Just a guess, a hunch, a theory.
Good. Well, there's possession.
I feel like you lost me.
There's possession and there's possession. The saint had the soul in him, right? And Star just has the test tube. I don't know if that makes a difference.
True.
But to me, it's just a matter of Jesse not having his soul erodes Genesis's power. And now it's just not working for him anymore. So I agree. I think it's the loss of the soul. It's either that or I don't know if Genesis cares about motivation, but yeah, I think it's got to do with soul. And because Star hasn't ingested the soul, maybe that's why. I don't know. But he was able to control Star earlier. I think the last time we saw the word work was when he had Star, do the stuff with the tapes. Those plans.
Yeah, but I think that was...
Last time it works is with those secretaries.
That's true.
Desk.
Oh,
like
right,
it starts to go wonky,
but it
gets one good last use out of it.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of before the deal the Grail makes with the Saint.
Was it though? Well, because that's a deal that that the timeline is all jumbled up, because they showed us a thing in the flashback. So if you actually don't get lost in like what they showed you when, it's like when that stuff actually happened.
That's true. That's true. And, I do. Since we are talking about Genesis right now, I feel like this is the time, and I know it's kind of a speculation thing, which, Bill, if you want to save it, but when the fuck are we getting our information dump?
We're going to save it.
I just...
Literally going to save it. Only because...
It's a great question that I want to talk about at the end of the... at the end, when we get to the end of the episode, because it's just
it's
too
a broader
much.
It's a broader picture kind of question.
Much, but I had the intentions of talking about it.
Bringing that up? All right, good. So
wait,
you can talk to him about it.
Are we all going to take an individual 5-minute rant on different topics? Is that going to be the end of this? Just, here's what I have to say about this season. Give me 5 minutes. Go.
Maybe not 5, but I was thinking maybe something like that. Why, does 5
Sarah,
not enough?
Sarah, I will yield my time to you.
Oh, all right then. All right, so let's get back into the episode. So they do the fight, the cool fight scene, and Jesse even does a thing where like he uses a clip, like he slaps the clip out of ejects the clip out of the gun into a guy's throat, which was like, I guess that's just a distraction. I can't imagine that hurting. But what is cool is that the whole thing, it's like this, they play with the speed of the film and all that, but it's all set to George Harrison's My Sweet Lord, which I was really not expecting, because at first I was like, oh, that's a Beatles song. They paid some money. And I was like, okay, it's George Harrison. Still, they paid some money for that probably,
Bill, I will say,
an interesting choice. Yeah, go ahead.
I was a little distracted because it was used earlier this year in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Oh, yeah. Okay, fair enough. Yeah. I didn't even think of it, actually. But,
that's a different podcast that we do.
Yeah, that's the other show. Write an email. No, I didn't even realize that. That's funny.
It took me out of it. That's why I bring it up. Like, it honestly, like, I heard the song and I immediately went back to Guardians, and I was like, wait.
Wow. How many times did you see Guardians? Because I kind of forget that was even in that. Just once?
I only saw it once, but I listened to the soundtrack a little bit. So that might have been part of it.
Of course.
A little bit means he bought it now. He plays it on his MP3
Every
player.
one of those songs now, every time you hear him, it's going to be like, oh, Rocket Raccoon, that guy. Oh, wistful. Okay, but anyway, this just brings it all back to the music and stuff. So it's another inventive fight scene. They do some interesting stuff with it. Star has a great moment where he's like, what the fuck? This guy can fight, it's like this moment of revelation, even though it wasn't working out. He's like, okay, I got this angle now. The fight ends. The kids start chanting. Star starts packing up. This thing's already posted to the web. Jimmy Kimmel's people called. We're gonna go there. But Jesse knows it's like, something's up here. So he's like, why do the Armenians have blanks? This is a stunt. And he's like, yeah, well, we need to spread the word. So, we got to make sure something happens here. And he's like, well, I didn't sign up for this shit. And he's like, well, it's spoken like a true messiah. So coming out of that school thing, we go back to the apartment. Cassidy's doing laundry. He doesn't see the Grail cam on the floor just yet, but Hoover and Featherstone are packing up. She's very enamored by Hairstar's genius. Basically, is the gist of that quick scene.
You could ring the bell on that, Bob.
Yeah, that's true. We get a little bell in there. We go back to Cassidy. He's packing up. He kind of finds Dennis's bloodstained shirt. Gives us his quick moment of like, oh, Dennis, what are we going to do with you, Dennis? Dennis actually left his laptop open. Cass opens it, and he finds Les Enfants du Sang website, which is or like an intro video, which I haven't seen on a website since 1990, but whatever. You know what I mean? I was like, oh my God, is that what they do on their landing page? Jeez, what is this, Netscape?
They went out.
Want to be vampires,
they went out of style with Flash.
There you go.
They're blood enfants. They don't have time for updating their website. Hello.
That's true. But you'd think they were just like nocturnal nerds or something. But anyway, so it's like this crazy intro vid. We really don't see it. It makes a lot of noise. It's like screaming and craziness and stuff. But it's like either it rattles Cassidy or like it entices him a little bit. And kind of like, it's like, this is triggering something. But then he goes back to folding the laundry. He finds Tulip's panties. I assume they're Tulip's, not his. And like all this
Very
kind of
pretty pair too.
Yeah, not bad, lacy. All his screaming kind of starts up in his head again. It's like what we just were hearing, but he snaps out of it. We cut to Tulip at the corner store. She spots a woman stealing diapers, and so while she's being rung up for like 10 things of sunscreen, she sees Jesse on a TV that is in the corner. Bob pointed out the only black and white TV still being used.
Yep.
And the clerk asks her for ID for the booze, to which she's like, really? You know what I mean? So he's kind of giving her a hard time a little bit. And then if anything else, she says, how about this lip balm? And then he's like, all right. So as he gets it, that's when she yanks him by the tie into the plexiglass like 2 or 3 times, knocks him out, takes the cash from the drawer, then tries to give it to the pregnant lady, who basically runs off and she's like, well, yeah, because I'm the bad guy, is what Tulip ends up saying.
Yeah, I just didn't really understand why this scene was in there. I get it. It's like it's just a through line for Tulip Story.
Right.
Just to show how conflicted as a person she is right now and shit. But
now you point it out.
I just didn't like it, and I didn't think it should have been.
It doesn't really carry any real need. It is one of those things where, if you had to cut it out, if you needed a scene to cut, you could cut this, you know what I mean? But
maybe that's the whole reason it's there.
Yeah, it might just be there to, in the end, it pushes you over the hour. But I don't know. Maybe we're missing something in that.
In a finale, though,
But she's definitely grabbing stuff. I guess the most you can take away from it is that she's definitely grabbing stuff. They're leaving.
Yeah.
And also too, one of the other things I kind of picked up with that, and a little bit of the other behavior, is that they're leaving, so they don't give a shit anymore. And that's why I think she was like, well, fuck it. I'll just this is like a corner store. It's probably not far from them. So she's like, okay, fuck it. I'll just take the money in the drawer, and just do something crazy right here because we're not staying. We're leaving within an hour. I'll be gone.
Yeah.
With that,
I think we go back to Cassidy.
We do. We jump back to this weird scene where it's Cassidy is smoking crack. Tulip comes in. Is that crack? No, no, it's not crack. She's like, I'm pretty sure it's crack, and he's like, no, trust me. Why don't you ever believe me? You know what I mean? He's like, I don't blame you though.
Now,
yeah.
I gotta ask you.
Yeah.
Does crack have a scent?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay, you should not maybe answer that quite so quickly. Yeah.
Hey, not from personal, I've sampled.
Yeah, really.
But,
we're not
been around.
Yeah.
Been around. Been around.
This is New York.
Been around, and
we do live.
It's
in
a
New York
distinct
City.
thing too.
Yeah.
It's like
There was a crack epidemic around here in the 90s.
Yeah. And it's a distinct thing too. Like once you smelt it and like that's what that is. Like you'll always be able. Like you could peg it out anyway, but it's like, oh, okay, yeah. Ugh.
It almost has a cheap cleaner kind of smell.
Some kind of plasticky
medicinal
almost.
Yeah. So
it's very artificial kind of a thing. You know it's not good. Like whatever it is like, oh, I don't know what that is, but I don't like it.
It just smells like
it's almost
tearing
like
apart
walking
families.
into the dentist office or something.
Yeah.
That kind of a smell
Dark,
that's
dumb.
just a little in the air. And
Yeah, Dom smells pretty dark. It smells like just tearing apart families. Yeah, basically. It smells like the bottom. Whatever the bottom is.
It just smells like rock bottom.
Yeah, it smells like rock bottom. All right, so it's the scene where like she's like, no, look, Bimini is going to be great, and we're going to be on the road. It's just us. Jesse's gone, and he's like, don't forget Denis, and she's like, yeah, okay, whatever, Denis too, but whatever happens between us is cool, and he's like, what? And then like she's like, well, we're going to have sex again, right? And then they fucking start kissing and like making out hard, and then he's like, and just bites out a big chunk of her fucking neck. And like for a second, like even me and Bob were both like, "Is that how they're gonna do it? Is that how they're gonna do it?"
I had to pause the TV
Same.
because I projectile vomited onto my screen, so I had to clean it up. But then they
well, the
they
whole
redeemed
time you're
themselves.
seeing the scene, you're not sure if it's a real or not.
Yeah, right.
So
right.
when he does it, you're like, okay, is this how it's gonna happen,
Right.
or is this bullshit that I think it is? Is this just a dream
Right.
that I think it is?
And for a second, it was like, though, also like, which way would they go? Was it like just killing her, or turning her into a vampire? But Sarah, did they get you with that one, Sarah?
About halfway through that scene, my husband said, "Oh, this is a crack dream," and I was like, "God, I hope so." So we were skeptical about it, but I had the same thought. Oh, well, maybe this is how we get dead Tulip, but I kind of scented like the scent of crack that this was going to be a fake out. So I did love Tulip though when she's chastising Cass. Well, I'm not going to mope around smoking crack about it, which I think is going to be my go-to response to everything for the rest of my life now. That's amazing.
I'm not going to be able to mope it. It is a really good line. Well, because then what happens is like, it's just, right, it's his crack fever dream. Then when he comes out of it, the funny bit is that now when she comes up and she says, are you smoking crack? He's like, yeah. And she does the real thing a person does, basically, which is like, okay.
You good,
and
bro?
like you just turn around and walk away. She's like, yeah, I'm gonna go pack. Like, which is like the much more realistic response. So with that, we jump to our bosom buddies, Assface and Hitler, which is new to CBS this fall. They're coming out of a hatch in the ground. That's what someone needs to do. Someone needs to do like the hokey, like,
Eddie's the courtship of Eddie's father theme song,
and then take the clips of them coming out of the hole in the ground.
He's my best friend.
Yeah, absolutely.
Throw rocks into the pond.
The whole
fishing.
bit. Yeah, the whole bit. So they come out of a hole in the ground. And they close the hatch and run, but we see that the wheel on the hatch starts to kind of turn a little bit. But we end up following them all the way through some weeds and stuff to the river Styx. Yeah, they're not quite out of hell just yet. But Hitler's like, no, you go. This is all about you, bro. I'll check you later. And Assface is like, he asks him to, so Hitler leaves. Hitler's like, yeah, go. And so for a second, you're like, oh, okay, Hitler's going to stay. Hitler kind of just got him there, and that's the end. I mean, we don't trust that because we watched TV before. But, like,
Right.
for a second, it's like, okay, maybe they will. Maybe. But
I'm saying please.
Yeah, please. Yeah, I was too.
Yeah. Please keep him in hell.
Please keep him in hell. I mean, it's a crazy idea and all, but I mean, like, we don't need another guy running around.
No, but it's a very Seth idea.
It's a very hijinks. It's very hijinks.
Very hijinksy. It's Hitler. Yeah. He's Jewish. He's got this thing with making fun of the Catholic religion.
Oh yeah, Seth. Yeah, Seth. Yeah.
So you know what I mean. Right. So
yeah.
But anyway.
With that, it leaves our space with the ferrymen. River Styx and all that. So there's a quick confusion where for a second he thinks like Hitler set him up. you know, and it's like, oh, no, it's all good. The boat's coming. And then Ferryman kind of like looks at him and is like, damn, they must have done a number on you down there, huh? And he goes, no, it was
pre-existing.
So he's like, and then he goes, oh shit.
Yeah.
Like that's even more fucked up, basically.
I love the voice the Grim Reaper had.
I looked him up.
This whole
he's like
scene
a local
was
actor.
great.
Yeah. I thought he was going to be somebody we might know, local actor.
Yeah. But that was a very funny moment, though.
It was one of the funnier ones.
Yeah, but you knew it was kind of coming, though. It was a classic opportunity.
The twist hadn't come. Like, okay,
Right.
it's like here's the sticks, Ferryman, and like, what's the beat here?
Yeah,
like,
what's the brum-bum?
Either it goes horror or it goes goofy. So
right. So they teased you with the horror, and then they gave you the goofy.
Right. Yeah, because he does do the whole like music ratchets
like
up and
the
stuff.
the whole death pointing at you kind of finger thing going on.
Yeah. So then suddenly the warden shows up, and she's like Shannon, which is the ferryman. She says his name. She calls him Shannon. Sharon.
Actually, that's canonical. CHARON is what you call the River Styx guardian. So,
Charon.
Continue.
No, it's fine. I was going off of the closed captioning, which spelled it SH.
I thought it was a silly girl's name at first, but again, my husband was like, "Oh no, that's what the guardian of the River Styx is called."
Oh, but wait a minute.
Literature,
no, he's right though. Absolutely, yeah, he's right.
Yep.
But what if that's their witty play on that? Like,
that's true.
What are we going to call this guy? Let's give him a goofy name. Well, it's called a Charon, like, you know, in mythology. Oh, let's call it Sharon then? Like, you know, and then that's funny because it sounds like a guy, but it's a girl name, and we won't explain it. But I don't know. I'm giving them too much credit for what's probably on my end just a misspelling and closed captioning. So with that, yeah, she's like, well, you know, basically the warden's like, well, don't you know, like, you know, God's gone, the rules have changed. I know it's your jurisdiction, but whatever. And she puts a crossbow arrow right into his head. And then just as she's like she's by herself, which was strange. The one time, finally, Hitler comes out of nowhere and saves the day, and basically hits her on the head with that thing that wasn't a horn in the background. And then R's face is so excited. You saved me again. And he's like, no, you saved me. I finally did something good. Now go. And then R's face is like, no, come with me. And he's like, no, I belong here. I've been a bad boy. Yeah, you know, I'm not so good. And then R's face is like, not anymore. And he's like, they did this thing where like I put like internal squee. It's like basically like he did like this little thing like a kid does like right before like I can have all the ice cream like almost like it's this weird thing like ow like I win like you know what I mean. I couldn't tell what the fuck how to describe it. I didn't know.
Now, in all honesty, let's call a spade here.
Yeah, let's call a Nazi a Nazi.
What the fuck did Hitler think he was gonna do when he went back to Earth? I mean, like did he really think that like he could go back there with that mustache?
He's got
and,
a shave.
Cool? Like, I mean, even if he shaved,
First
I
thing
think we'd recognize
find a
him.
barber.
First thing, I need to find a razor, please. How much is a razor? Well, you know, hey, look, you know, the fact that even if he tries to, hey, look, I think just getting out of hell is just about getting out of hell. I don't know how much of a plan you really figure to have, but, you know, I can't imagine anybody believing him to actually be Hitler. You know, who's going to buy that? Like, you know what I mean? Okay, you look a lot like Hitler. Like, best Hitler cosplay, you win. Okay, move along.
Good
like,
point.
you know? So, I mean, so, all right. We'll end up coming back to that. So, we'll just keep it moving for the sake of keeping it moving.
I think we go back to Hair Star at this point.
It's it's a real quick thing. They're in the truck and they're leaving. And he asks Jesse, you know, like, why didn't you use your power? And Jesse's like, I didn't need to, which is just a lie. So Star never kind of really gets the gist that, or maybe he already knows, and he's just playing stupid because they do that too with him sometimes. Like he knows the details, he's just playing coy. It turns out.
Well, this is what I was going to ask you guys because, like, wouldn't Jesse want Star to know that he didn't have the power right now because he seems like the type of guy that could help him get it back? Because
maybe
it's in his best interest to have Jesse have the word. So
and if Jesse's playing
and he
along,
does have connections. I mean,
and the whole bit of being the
leader of the
Messiah is hinging on that. So it is kind of like a weird thing.
And Jesse was reluctant to be the Messiah. You know, it wasn't like he was immediately, this is a great idea. He sort of had to come around to it. So if he knows his power is glitching, and he already was like, I don't know about this Messiah thing, guys, it is a little strange that he tried to bluff his way through this to me as well.
It's a good
but
point
Jesse's
well, they do this
sort of
a
an
lot
opaque mystery at this point. So
anyway,
no, yeah.
I will say this.
Ahead,
I think the Jesse's keeping Star at an arm's distance. I mean, yeah, he came into this reluctantly, and yes, Star has all this power, or at least access to all this power. But I still don't think there's a full trust there, and I feel like that's why he's lying to him. That's why he's like, yeah, I didn't need it, as opposed to, yeah, it didn't work. Because
maybe it's.
I just don't think you'd want to let him on to that.
Right.
I mean, maybe Star knows. Maybe Star's smart enough to figure that out.
Maybe it's this simple. Maybe Jesse just thinks that because her Star is so powerful that once her Star finds out that Jesse doesn't have the power, her Star doesn't need him anymore. And doesn't just drop him off on the next block.
Right. Kills him, kills his friends.
Yeah.
It probably is they would probably point to more like something like that, where it's like, you know, Jesse's trying to play all sides and secretly hoping like it comes back. But
I just don't ever see Jesse being scared of Star.
Well,
I just don't
this
buy
show either. Like,
well, not physically alone in a room with the guy. No, that's for sure.
And that's the other thing too. I thought about, like, Jesse keeps on putting his hands on Star, like, you know, keeps on grabbing him by the scruff and all this stuff. And like Star, we saw in the first appearance, he's supposed to be a pretty resourceful fighter and probably pretty well trained, even if he was fighting. So in my head, I rationalized that he's probably, you know, he's holding back. And if you wanted to really fight Jesse, he probably could. Like, you know, this Star anyway. In the books, like, we probably wouldn't have ever thought of it really. But
no, he's.
But they went at it a couple times.
Badass. Well, I don't know.
But
I don't remember the two of them going at it directly, but we do get a couple backstory things for Hairstar that show us that he's definitely a badass fighter.
I think him and Cassidy might have scrapped, I think, near the end of that Masada thing when they were on the plane. But I do not recall clearly, sir. So basically, that's a quick scene. Tulip is packing her purse. Denis is slugging on a blood pack. She's going to go pack up the car. She says to Denis, but Denis is like a teenager. He's like, he don't listen, so she yells it out. Cassidy replies. She drops the lip balm, and she finally finds the Grail cam. So now they figure it out, basically. Cass wonders if maybe, you know, they might have seen him masturbating in the living room, you know, and Tulip sighs and says, yeah, me too, you know. So Cassie's like, you know, maybe we should tell Jesse. And she's like, what, that we masturbated in the living room? And he's like, no, about the camera. You know, and she's like, well, what difference would that make? And because she's like done, like, you know. So she goes, she's like, well, I'm going to get in the car. I'll be waiting in the car. Cassidy goes to get the dog. Denis shows up. Denis is like, you know, give me the dog. I'll take the dog now, please. And Cassidy's like, you know, well, promise me you'll be good. Like, you know, and I'll give you the dog. So much like a little kid thing. You know, just promise me you'll be good. And so as Denis is like, yeah. He's nodding. And as, you know, he goes to hand the dog, Denis sees the panties on the bed. And then he grabs them. And then, you know, Cass is all fucking kind of perturbed by it, and he's like, you know, put them down. Put them down. Just put them down. Just put them down. Just put them down. Just put them down. Put them down. Put them down. Like a parent would tell a kid, does it 20 times. Put it down, put it down, put it down. And he doesn't put it down. But he turns to him, and he's like, you know, well, you know, you're telling me to be good. Can you be a good lad, Papa? Can you be good? You know? And
in English, right?
Yeah, he says that in English.
Yeah, in English.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of these things because he kept on telling him, be good, like he was starting to learn and a little bit pick it up, you know. But I don't think it's a thing where like he knew English the whole time. Like, you know, I saw somebody saying that, like, you know, but I don't think it was supposed to be like that.
No, they are wearing translators.
Yeah, so like repetitive phrase you'll probably pick up, you know. So this whole thing, you can see Cassie's got some internal struggling going on there for a bit, and you know, can you be a good lad, Papa? And Cassie says, no, I don't think I can. not with you around. And he shoves him out the window, straight into the sun. In the highlight of the episode, if you ask me, like the most, like of all the things we've been waiting for, like payoff.
Awesome.
That's true for sure.
Palmer, what'd you think?
I mean, we'll get to the other loose end in this entire season, but I'm glad that this one at least got wrapped up. I didn't want this. They don't need. I'm not going to be one to say that, like, oh, every turn away from the book has been bad. I don't really care if you take the characters in a different direction. That's fine. That's creative license. That's what you want to do. And so far, I'm enjoying the ride. When you add in another character that just distracts you from the story at hand, even if it's a different story than the books, that's when I start to get a little bit annoyed. So I'm glad Denis is gone.
I agree.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was never part of the story. He was just, I have no idea why he was there in the first place.
He felt like a ticking clock. Like after a certain point, you're just like, oh yeah, this guy's not going to last the season.
Yeah, so, and like Palmer's saying, like how he's saying, like, it would have felt disrespectful to the comic readers if they carried him into season 3 and brought him on the road trip.
That's how we'll probably end up feeling about Hitler. Sarah?
Well, it was kind of like Tulip said in the crack dream scene when she says to Cass, I can't wait till it's the two of us on the road. And he says, well, and Denis. And she's like, oh, yeah, and Denis. And that's how I felt.
That's how we all felt.
So
that's exactly what we all thought.
Yeah.
I think we all kind of, we knew this was coming. We knew Cassidy was going to have to kill Denis. I mean, that just was sort of something we all had predicted on earlier episodes. I liked the way they handled it. I liked that it wasn't expediency, that Cass caught Denis mid-mass murder and he had to do it and it broke his heart. I like that it was for his own, slightly selfish preservation, or maybe not selfish. Maybe it was very selfless, but it was for his own preservation. The thought process and the build-up that went into it over the last several episodes, really well done, really subtle, interesting decision-making for Cass. I really liked this scene. I didn't always love Denis, but I liked the way it played out.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually happy to see that it was a different thing, and it was more like, because it's even more fucked up. I think that it's like a thing where like now Cassidy carries this by himself. Nobody else really knows. Will anybody else ever really find out? Because he just gets in the car and he's like, yeah, we can go. And she's like, well, where's Denis? And he's like, oh, he changed his mind. He's not coming. So like Cassidy's the only one who knows besides God or some other all-powerful somebody. Right. So will it ever kind of come up or be thrown in his face or be told to the other people in the group, like behind his back, like to paint him, like, like, hey, don't think like your friend is so good. He killed his son, right? Well, go ask him.
Yeah, this is TV, so eventually
it'll come out, right? Nothing sits for too long.
No. No. The show, though, I think will probably end up wasting the opportunity, and he'll be like a self-confession instead of during his personal confrontation with God.
Right.
Which is what it probably should be, because he does have a confrontation with God in the book.
Right. Didn't happen yet.
No, that's true.
You got to take that back.
Should happen.
Do it in reverse now. Swing. Okay. So then from there we jump back to AF and AH. That's Assface and Adolf Hitler. In case you weren't paying attention, or you can't see my document. They were on the bus, and they're wearing some snappy new clothes. Who knows where they came from? I guess they come with the trip across the river. You leave the boat, and you're wearing something modern.
This reminded me of season 1 when Fior and DeBlanc were taking a bus to and from heaven.
Sure.
So I figured this was...
It's the same shuttle company. Distant Vistas does the Hell Shuttle every time.
Okay, cool. I figured it had to be something like that.
And so they get dropped off, and as they're standing there, Assface is like, my dad would get a kick out of meeting you. He loves the History Channel. So when the second Assface turns to the side, like Hitler bolts like a cartoon character. Like the only thing you were missing was the foot sound of the like but he runs right into the street, gets hit by a car. He pops up and then he gimps away, and like you think he's gonna take the crutch from this guy that's walking by, but he just shoves him to the ground for like no good reason. And it's just like, yes, you did get fooled, Arseface. He got everything he wanted.
All right.
One opportunity that they missed in that moment, when Hitler got hit by the car, is that he should have been getting hit by a Volkswagen Beetle.
I saw it coming as soon as you said hit by the car. I was like, I know where Bob's going with this one.
Right?
Extra irony. It's the only thing that they didn't do.
It's the only good thing that came out of Hitler. Anything related to Hitler was the Volkswagen,
right? And
by rote the Porsche, but
right.
But you get the point.
Sure thing, Palmer.
Bill, this was the loose end I was not happy about.
Mm-hmm.
But how did you? Because you've been calling it all season that if Hitler gets out, he's going to get hit by a car.
I tweeted during the show.
Like,
hold on a second. I tweeted that. I shut the fuck up. I tweeted it during the show. Right. I was like, I stand by it. Like, you know, he's going to get hit by a car. He's going to get or some other really quick death. And Ian Coletti, who plays Arseface, fucking put a little like on that, like before the scene played, where like he does get hit by a car, but he don't die. So what were you, Palmer? I cut you off a little bit.
Yeah. My question was, can you give us and the listeners the play-by-play? Like, he gets hit by the car. You've got to be sky high that you called it. And then what? He gets up and you're crushed? Like, how did that play for Bill, the guy who almost called it?
The emotional roller coaster.
That's a great title.
Oh, yeah. Where I thought I was vindicated.
Yeah.
And then, like, oh, no, they fucked me. Right, yeah. It felt pretty good for a second, like a slip.
That's like a metaphor for Germany, like.
But the fact that we stayed like 100 feet away, like I knew that he wasn't done. Like we would have came in close, or something else would have happened. But I knew he was going to get up. Although I did love the way that he got up, and he was like a meerkat. Like he looked to the left, looked to the right, real quick, like and ran. Like it was very rodent-like. It's the only other thing like I was thinking about the whole thing. But all right, so there's that to deal with, folks. Hitler is back on Earth on this show. We'll get to it at the end when we start talking about the season ahead and theories and stuff like that.
Yep.
So with that, did I jump ahead?
No.
After
this, we go back to Tulip.
No.
Oh, okay, right. I'm sorry.
In the car with
Tulip's
Cass.
waiting in the car. She gets Cassidy gets in the back seat. Right, Denis changed his mind. Mm-hmm. Well, you can get in the front, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I can get in the front now. There's nobody else here." But Tulip's got something on her mind. She goes, "Hang on a second," and then Cass waits, and then he has second thoughts about bringing the dog. Lets the dog out.
Nice.
It's probably not a safe trip for the dog, which was an interesting thought for the vampire to realize, like, like either whether or not it was because like he was gonna maybe one day eat it, or just the fact that it's probably not good for us to have a pet.
Right.
Like in general, like we won't do well with this. I kind of felt like it was kind of the thing. So he lets it go, and then Tulip actually goes upstairs. So as she's in there, she's actually she's knocking on Jenny's door, and then Jenny's like, "Oh, I'll be right out. Give me a second." And Tulip, this is how it all comes together. Tulip finally finds the Super Happy Go-Go Soul Company's how-to manual, the one that Hoover was reading in the episode in the truck. She finds the same crappy glue that they use to prop up the Grail cam. So she's like, "Oh, you're moving out?" And Jenny's like, "Yeah." And Tulip's like, "Yeah, me too." Hoover comes out of the bathroom out of nowhere. "Hey, you're out of moisturizer." Sees Tulip, and then goes right into character.
That was great.
Bitch. And then
that was fantastic.
And like walks off like to just let them deal it.
Well, saunters.
Yeah, right. All of a sudden he's got a little swagger in his walk, right?
No, saunter, not swagger.
He couldn't pull off a swagger if he wanted to.
I
right?
don't think so. No. He came out a little flamboyant too.
Yeah, he came out a little sassy. So this all settles into Tulip's head, and she's like, "I never told you about Dallas, did I?" And she's like, "Nope." And then Tulip charges her. And then Featherstone shoots her. Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah.
Palmer.
It happened.
Palmer, any thoughts? What do you think? Any thoughts on that?
We'll
go around on this one.
The only thought I have after watching that scene is never bring a screwdriver to a gunfight.
There you go.
Good advice.
There you go.
Good assessment.
Especially after you know you borrowed the woman's gun before.
Fair enough.
Yeah, true. I really have nothing to say about this scene because I want to talk about it when we get to the end because I think it's like a small piece in
a bigger pie.
Basically because
Okay.
of the way they changed the way that
Right.
Tulip dies. So I'll defer for now, but
Okay, Bob?
I do want to talk about it later a little bit.
You can defer as well.
What was the question
Well,
again?
just that we're coming out of the scene where Tulip finally gets shot, but it's by her now, and
Well, I thought this scene was the one thing I kept thinking of was Tulip's death in the book was a lot grander.
right, yeah,
So why would you replace that with this?
right.
Oh, so much word. 1,000 times yes. That's what I have
You know what I
thoughts
mean?
on.
That's a big question for me about pretty much the whole show.
There you go.
So
But yeah, I mean, we'll revisit it, I guess.
yeah,
Sarah,
I mean that's basically all.
that's kind of like
my
where you.
take
That's,
on it,
that's
too.
where you're going
Yeah.
to. Sarah,
I think that's where I'm
know
going
you
to.
could-
I will say I liked the visual of the two women, both with weapons behind their backs. That was very. I just liked the way they
It was.
staged that. I was frustrated because Tulip should have gotten to this point so much sooner. She's not a
Yeah.
dummy. She's not naive. She's suspicious about everybody. How is she just now like, wait a second, Jenny isn't my friend? That
Right.
frustrated me that she should have been wiser than that. But her dress was fantastic. So there's your costume comment for the day.
All right.
But yes, I also have
Bill?
thoughts about
Yeah.
her death and how it plays out with the comic death. And I will, I was incredibly disappointed that they took this route for a lot of reasons that I think probably we all share. And we're all going to just yell our grief out here in a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So as this plays out, it kind of goes where next scene, Jesse and Star, they're getting on the jet. They're, I guess, heading to L.A. or wherever Kimmel
think it's
shoots.
LA.
I think it's L.A. And then Jesse gets a voicemail from Cassidy. Star tries to downplay it, don't bother. That's the old life. That's you distance yourself from that. And he's like, yeah, but I'm gonna just check in. And then instantly we cut scene to the outside. SUV pulls up and whisks Jesse away because, Tulip's been shot. And Star's like, I understand, go to your friends, but when you're ready, come back for your soul. As Jesse's like, what? As the truck is it's a very rushed kind of bantered kind of thing. And which is like this, it's the reveal. It's the question we were asking last week. Did something happen in the back of the truck? Was there a soul exchange made? And so their deal must have been to give us that piece of Jesse's soul back, and we'll give you Jesse somehow. We'll tell you where he is, where to find him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then they ended up just playing the Santa Killers.
With the Hell Warden, you mean?
Right.
That combo. Right.
Yeah. So with that,
Star basically just calls Featherstone and Hoover and is calling them every word in the book that he can think of.
Yeah. He's like, I'll deal with you later. Cancel the ambulance.
Right.
And so, which explains why in a couple of minutes, Cassidy's like, I called it. So Jesse arrives. Tulip's bleeding pretty bad. The bullet went all the way through. Jesse asks, because they're in a panic mode. He's like, well, look for super glue and, try and close the wound, something, anything. Cassidy comes back with window caulk. It's just like, well, I can't use that. Next idea is to use the blood stash in the fridge, and we'll rig up an IV, which, though, I think the blood is frozen, so I don't know. But he can't find a blood match for her. It's no good. Gotta try to use the word. Well, the words doesn't work. And he's like, well, what do you mean it doesn't work? He's like, well, I don't know. It just doesn't work. And he tries, but nothing happens. So Cassidy wants to try and bite her. And this kind of sets off, the end run here where it's like they get into a kind of a fight because, it's the only way. Cassidy, goes for it, and Jesse kicks him away and, don't touch her. And they scrap a bit until she starts gurgling. Cassidy convinces him it's the only way, Jesse. It's the only way. And Jesse kind of lets him go like a step, but then can't do it. He's like, no. But There's a small moment there where Jesse's on the floor letting him go. It's like almost like Jesse might have had a light bulb go off in his head and knows that it's better to let her die because she's going to die anyway. I have another way to save her.
Yeah.
Because they don't really say it, but it is like a split second where it seems like there's a slight moment of clarity on Jesse's head. And he's like, let her die, let her die. And he pins Cassidy back and down so Cassidy can't get up. And they let her die. Next scene.
Right. Well, you know,
Yeah,
initially you think, well, what's going on here? Because he's able to hold Cassidy down.
Yeah, well, there's that too.
You know what I mean? They go on to explain it in the after show.
Oh, right. That he's
Very
like,
quickly, which I thought they were afraid of people thinking that. So maybe that is a legit move that you can actually use to hold somebody immobile enough that they can't get the leverage to get out of it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. On the after show, they were talking about that was like one of these pins, one of these, probably some Krav Maga, or one of these fancy, international fighting styles. So with that, Jesse and Cassidy are driving. Cassidy's on the passenger side. Tulip's dead in the back seat. And Cassidy's like, there's something I've been meaning to tell you for a long time. I hate you. Says that to Jesse, and Jesse's like, you hate me now? Well, just wait. Just you wait. Because, it's going to get worse as they veer off onto Angelville Road, or whatever you want. Angelville Lane. A pleasant oasis. Far from home. And so that's kind of where we leave them. The last minute kind of reveal thing is a pullback shot from the Eye of the Man Dog costume that we know was God's. And we're in a hotel room. There's beer cans everywhere, and jazz is playing. Someone's taking a leak. And then the bathroom door opens, and it's the blinding light of God. The end. And that wraps season 2.
Season 2 in the books.
Season 2 in the books. So we can backtrack, obviously, and cover a couple of things. But maybe we could just start real quick where we're all mixed bag, I guess, on this finale. Palmer, we'll start with you. I mean, just on this finale, not so much like trying to, rate the season or anything, but this one left you all right, mixed.
Yeah.
You liked it a lot. How do you, as finales go?
I liked it with the caveat of I can't help but think Hitler getting away is going to be a problem. As far as not like a problem. I feel like it's going to be a crutch for the writers as far as the storytelling goes. Moving forward in season 3. If it wasn't for that, I would have had no issues. Like, I understand they changed things. Sure. I don't feel, and I don't mean to actually say this before you guys all explain to me why I'm wrong, but I don't feel like changing Tulip's death is at this point a surprise or a big deal considering how much they've changed to this point. This was season 2. Originally, at the end of season 1, we were like, hey, we're going to get on the road. In the first episode of season 2 and the last episode of season 2, we were actually on the road. All right?
That's a good point.
When it all comes down,
Very good point.
I can't argue with the last
they
little
changed.
bit there.
Yeah, they just changed so much. I'm not concerned. I think it gets them away from some things. But as finales go, I like it with the exception of Hitler because I feel like I cannot take it out of my head that that's going to be a crutch moving forward.
Yeah, I could see where you're going with that a little bit. I could see them trying to rely on that for the humor of it, maybe a little too much next season. Dom, some thoughts coming out of the finale. Did you like the finale, or how would you put it, or how would you?
I liked certain
put
aspects.
Your feels. How would you rate your feels?
I liked certain aspects of the finale,
Right.
but I think we've all mentioned like the undeniable changes just throughout the season that affected like the gotcha moments in the finale, and that affected like the big pivotal
Moments from the
story
book.
moments like in the book and
Yeah.
in this episode itself. So it kind of pulls me out as a viewer when they change shit up, and I don't like the way they change it up. So with Tulip, to be specific, the way she dies, like I hated it because, like Sarah alluded to earlier,
Bob wants a fist bump.
Like Sarah alluded to earlier, like it's just it's such an epic piece of storytelling the way she dies, and like that entire issue, just the way they build up Jesse's family and everything. Right. It's just amazing, and I felt that they didn't build Featherstone up enough to be worthy of taking the life of Tulip O'Hare. And
it's not like somebody of an equal, like, it's not like you found another way to equally impact their lives like the other way was. You kind of, yes, like the death will impact them greatly no matter who does it. But it is a thing where, like, because I was telling you earlier, when Grandma does it, it's a thing where, like, you don't see it, you don't see it coming really, and it establishes how bad she really is. Yeah, so that's the thing, I think, for how it relates to Grandma. But go ahead.
To put an analogy to it, it's almost like similar to The Walking Dead in the comic, where they build up Negan and they build up Grandma all in one issue, and then by the end of that issue, you're so afraid of them, and then they kill a main character, and it's like, wow, I really understand what a piece of shit this person is.
Right.
In this, it's almost like if the Walking Dead TV show had, like, that dude Trevor from GTA that's like a side character in The Walking Dead. Right. If, like, he killed Glenn. Spoilers.
Right.
So
that is a great way to put it.
Yeah. That is pretty good. I think people can relate and kind of see how that is. Like, by having somebody else do it, you pull what makes it special out.
Right.
And one of the things I was saying to you earlier. Go ahead, Sarah.
Oh well, and I don't want to, Bob. I don't want to take your turn.
Not at all.
Bob's winding up.
No, I'm good.
Bob's looking at his watch and circling a finger. We got to wrap this up. No, you're talking about it undermines Grandma's introduction, but the emotional state of Jesse is what really frustrates me here, because Jesse in the book. In the book, Jesse sees her die. They have not had really a chance to reconcile and to talk. They've been separated. They're almost strangers who've come back together again. And Grandma does this horrible, awful thing, and Jesse has no expectation that he'll ever see Tulip again. She is dead. And so when it happens, it's so overwhelming for him and so miraculous. He's so beyond that it's incredible. It is the Beat to Hell Jesse and Resurrected Tulip kissing in front of the fires of Angelville is one of my top 5 comic panel stills of all time. And we're not going to get it, or if we do get it, the emotion behind it is going to be watered down, because Jesse knew he could bring her back, or he has some hope that he can go to Grandma, and maybe the cost is going to be terrible, but there's a chance that Grandma can resurrect Tulip.
I can't ring a bell.
You know what?
If I ring a bell for her being a writer, it's not the same thing.
Keeping Cass from turning her. At first I was like, oh, he's respecting what Tulip would want, but no, he didn't. He knew he had an out. He always had an out. It undercuts the emotion. It undercuts my favorite scene in the entire comic book. I understand it's a different entity. I understand the show is something. I enjoyed the finale for what it was, but knowing what we are not going to get now, and even if they give us an approximation, it's never going to be the same. The emotion is not going to be the same. As I was processing this, I got so frustrated I whipped my pen at the TV. I'd never do that. I was just so like, you had this amazing storyline, all this built-in drama, amazing visuals, and you've squandered it. You have squandered it.
You heard it here, folks. Sarah Netzley tried to kill her TV. No. She was so enraged.
Right. This is because the reason they do this. Where the pen hit. The reason they do this is because it's becoming, it seems to me anyway, it's becoming more important for their ideas to get done because they think it's going to be great than to do what's already been proven to be great.
Right. They forget sometimes, like the things that you liked about the book that made the book worth adapting were these key things in it.
Yeah. And they are on record as saying that they weren't going to change a whole lot in the book. They were actually going to expand on it.
Right.
right? This is not expanding on anything.
Right, not in this aspect.
They have taken key characters from the graphic novels and put them in this situation that they have created.
Yeah.
With all these elements that they have created. Everything that has gone on in the book is non-existent in this current story.
Hold on.
It's
Go ahead.
I got to jump in because given the way this episode ends, I think, despite my agreement with Sara of the death of Tulip, the resurrection may still be very similar to the book.
That's something I said to
absolutely
Tom,
it could
too.
be.
Because the
we don't
one
know where
thing
she goes right now and what happens,
Well,
what deals are
Well,
made.
where she's supposed to go.
Fair enough.
I'm not even going there. I'm not even going there. The very beginning, he wants to resurrect a chicken, and she goes, "There's always a price to pay." Okay. My assumption, and I don't know,
I like
this
theories.
has to
You could say
happen in
theory.
the first episode.
Right.
All right. My theory is that the price is going to be too high, even for Jesse to pay for Tulip, and we all know from reading the source material, it's God who resurrects Tulip in the books. It's not Grandma. So despite the fact that all things are pointing towards Grandma, that one line about the price and the chicken leads me to believe
There is
that
an out there.
And
there's still going to, I mean, Sara, there's still hope that you're going to get a chance where it's like, oh shit, I'm not going to see her again. And it's not going to be until God swoops in and makes his deal with Tulip.
Oh, I hope so. Wow, I hope so. And to follow up, I was tweeting with Kevin Lingenfelser, who does FX for Preacher on Monday night. Oh yes, we all know Kevin. Good people, good Twitter feed.
Kevin used to send us emails.
he that's right. He and I were kind of talking. He agreed like what a great visual in the comic when Tulip is shot, and so he started spitballing. Grandma could bring Tulip back, could extract this great price from Jesse, and then do what she does in the comics and pull the gun and shoot her, or have one of the boys do it. And that betrayal, like I extract this from you, I do this anyway, that would get us back to the core of Grandma.
It would.
I still wouldn't be 100% satisfied, but that would be pretty ballsy to do the resurrection, make Jesse pay, make Cass hate Jesse more, then kill Tulip, and then we can get a little bit more back on track. And I would be slightly mollified, but I'm not mad, Preacher. I'm disappointed. Nope, I'm mad. Preacher, I'm angry.
I'm a little mad.
I just think that these guys aren't going to go that far. They're not going to think that many steps in.
Yeah, and also too, I think that as much as I want that, you know what I mean? Like, I know that they're going to have some other kind of path for this and then ahead, kind of,
These guys aren't the kinds of writers that do that kind of thing. These guys are pretty upfront about what they do.
They're a little, it's a little obvious
we're
sometimes,
seeing, we're seeing a lot of very shticky stuff.
Yeah.
And that's par for these two guys. This is what they've done in the past. And so we should have expected that. The fact that we're getting things like Hitler running around in modern times.
Yeah.
we should talk about that.
That pisses me off.
Yeah, it pisses me off too because I feel like it's just easy. It's just cheap.
Yeah, right. It's easy. It's cheap, and it seriously undermines the quality of the material, the source material.
It continues to shift the tone into being madcap hijinks show, as opposed to something that can.
I don't want Get Smart.
I don't need Naked Gun.
Palmer.
I just want to say, and I can't believe I'm the one who's going to be saying this.
I'm sure I was already thinking it, but go ahead.
If you really, really, really want to honor the source material, and my apologies to any listeners or anybody on this show right now I'm going to offend. If you really want to honor the source material, turn off your fucking TV and pick the book back up. Clearly, there's no sense in literally, completely, faithfully, panel by panel, adapting anything.
No, but no one's ever asked for that.
It's never been done.
It's not a valid argument. It's not a valid argument. I've heard that before from people who say just go read the book. You'll always have the book. I'm like, that's not the conversation we're having. I know I'll always have the book. We're talking about the adaptation of the thing.
Right.
The adaptation of the thing that was great as it was. Like, why do other adaptations that stick to their source material a little more faithfully do so well? because the source material was good, and
Right.
and that's why they chose it.
Right. Yeah, and there's
So-
no point in working yourself to death on material that's already been pretty much perfected.
Yeah, I mean, you
know what I
have
mean?
to do a polish, you have to update, you have to bring in some other characters. I get it, it's a TV show,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a matter of saying like, it's a difference between saying like we want to play in this world or we want to bring this world to life.
Right. There's nothing that's been in this show that I've wanted to keep watching.
Right.
That they have put in.
Right.
Dennis was there for 3 episodes, and I was like, okay,
Done.
This is,
It was
this
like done.
I'm done with this guy. Let's get rid of him now.
No, yeah.
And
The
but
vibe
instead
was
they
definitely
turned,
the-
but instead they turned him into a vampire, and then we had to watch him for another few episodes because
Right.
they had to build him up as a vampire before they killed him.
Yeah.
So we got a whole bunch of story that we didn't need and we really weren't interested in,
Yeah.
and then we had force fed to
And
us.
and well, that's the thing too. The show, I don't know about force feed. Well, yeah, they do force feed things, but I mean, they telegraph their kicks a little bit. So it's like from early on, like you just kind of catch the vibe of where things are going, and it's like there's not a lot of the like, oh, like you fooled me or I didn't see that. Well, because you kind of hinted and you telegraphed, and
Right.
so it's like all right, fine, but that's why some of these things don't have the extra impact or value they should. It's like the whole thing with Tulip. And it's something that Sara said, but I was telling Dom earlier, and I was nodding my head like crazy when she started saying it because I was like, "See, I'm right." But when you change that and then you take away the aspect of it being like when you show the chicken, like in the book, you didn't know the Tulip was going to come back.
Right.
You didn't think that
You
she was
thought- you
going to
thought-
have a meeting
yeah.
with God. You didn't think that had a that was on the radar. The book
Right.
didn't deal with that stuff.
No, and the book did that kind of thing often.
So with the show, it's like, why doesn't the show at least try not to telegraph as much? Like, okay, you showed us already, you hinted already that there's some kind of spooky wooky shit going on down at Angelville. Maybe if you hadn't showed us the chicken, the end when he all of a sudden he turns down that dirt road might have been a bigger reveal.
Yeah.
Because I was expecting, once I saw them in the car, I'm like, it's like, okay. Once he actually started saying, let it die, I knew what was going to happen. But like with the car, once they're in the car, it sealed it. It was like, okay, they're going to turn off the road and they're going to go into Angelville. So it's like, that didn't have an impact. Like, oh, like.
No, and it was a season-ending moment. Mm-hmm. So it should have.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of
Well, and I guess
opportunities
because
here.
of that, the season ending of it all makes me think I can kind of understand why they had to give that clue early on, because otherwise you get, Dom, you brought up The Walking Dead earlier. You get that who's Negan going to kill, who's going to stay in the cast, who's showing up for filming on the first day of the next season. Is Tulip dead? Is she going to come back? Is the actress on the call sheet? This makes it really clear to anybody with half a pulse. Yeah, she's coming back. She's not dead. So you almost have to do that in the social media speculation environment we live in. I kind of understand it. It will make their off season much easier. They have to be a little bit less coy.
And I think it would be
but
like
it's still
hardly kept
disappointing
secret
storytelling. Oh yeah.
And it doesn't help when Dominic Cooper is on Twitter like a few weeks early saying, "Don't worry, guys. There's a moment coming at the end of the season that's amazing."
Well, I mean, he was telegraphing like just in general to us, the book readers, that we,
You're gonna get
something crazy. So what's crazy around that timeline? If you know the books, you know that. But it's not like he was giving away the kitty. But season 3.
I won't be here.
Which isn't official yet.
Well, yeah, which is not official. I was saying that earlier too. Is that like they just because they've gotten, because people were reporting that they picked up rights, secured the permits and all that stuff down in Louisiana. That people are like, oh, that means season 3. Not necessarily.
No,
That's just they secure them in case.
And permits are almost free.
Yeah, and it's just a thing you do ahead of time just to be safe.
Well, I'll tell you what. I
Yeah.
might not have been ecstatic with the way the season ended
Right.
and at the way the season went at all, really. But
Right.
I do want a season 3.
Yeah.
I think we deserve a season 3.
Same.
Yeah,
I'm
I
not-
mean, as much as like they've kind of like let me down, I haven't abandoned the ship yet. I feel like the last thing that will be the make or break is Angelville. is how that goes down with Grandma, who they cast as Jody and TC, how that works, how that feels. And if they, and I'm not so much averse to the whole, like I thought I would be more averse to them adding the Carney Bayou aspect, and I'm kind of not. It just depends on how much it's like, how corny that stuff feels in the moment, because like I'm all right with them, like something else kind of going on with that family, because there is nothing else with them. They're just
weird.
They're just weird, and somehow they pay their bills. Like I don't know. Like I guess they have jobs, so they have a Carney thing.
But like I'm not afraid of changes with Angelville. Like at this point, you can't be afraid of changes if you're gonna continue to watch the show. No, obviously. So it's like I just want them to do justice to Tulip, really, as a character in the way they bring it,
justice for Tulip.
In the way they bring it back. I mean, and granted, I kind of hate this version of Tulip.
Yeah, but still, it's like
it's Tulip. Come on. Like, you know?
Because here's the thing, it's almost like
Bob.
Well, here's the thing. Now that I think about it,
I roll, Bob.
For a thing like when your love goes this deep for a property, like a book or something like that. I'm realizing just now. Like there's an extra character that you're obsessed with. Like for us, right? With this, it's like Jesse, it's Cassidy, it's the quad, right? It's the four of them, 3 plus ours face. But the invisible other character that we obsess about is the story. Like if you're like a Game of Thrones fan, like HBO's show probably drives you up the fucking wall, it's because it just has to. Like that's just one of those things, right? But like that's that other character that that other thing. It's not just the characters. It's be faithful to them, but you have to be faithful to where the story path goes too. Just as much as you want to be like, oh, Cassidy's like, or Airstar's perfect, or Cassidy's a perfect representation or whatever, and it's just like maybe Tulip and Jesse are off. It's like no, but whatever. But point being that like the story too is supposed to be like an important thing. Stick to it more. I don't know.
Well, hold on. I will.
You hold on. Yeah, go.
I will defend them, Bill, because the thing is, and the truth of the matter is, we don't know what the overarching story is. Like we do.
Obviously not.
We know the source material.
Oh, we know the end, right? To the end, right?
But
fair.
We know the source material. We know where it's going, but we don't know what parts of it. We clearly know what parts they've ignored, what parts they've moved along, but they could easily be still going along the path, right? There are certain scenes, and aside from the Tulip death that was just handled, there are certain scenes in the desert and at Masada and are 2 and 3 seasons away. That
shit, 4 or 5 seasons away. The speed they're going.
Bigger. Well, that's true, but I see them as bullet points that they have to connect. Mm-hmm. And if they want to cut out Tulip's death, despite what it means, I'm all right with that as long as they get to some of the other points when you talk about being honoring the story. Do you know what I mean?
Like, I do, but for me, that's such a big part of the story. It feels really dishonoring the story to omit that. Yeah.
I just feel like they've already completely downplayed Tulip and Jesse's romance.
Yeah, you're not wrong there.
It's not. I mean, yes. Could it have had the same impact if they had done it shot for shot? Probably not, because the relationship that we're seeing on the screen is not nearly what we saw in the panels.
Yeah, but I think there's a difference between people saying shot for shot and a thing that's like this halfway point where it's like, I'm not expecting the same exact context for everything, but I don't know, just something that feels more in line. I mean, like, look, it's not like saying like, hey, these aren't bad ideas, like that people who don't read the books are sitting there going, this is just abysmal.
Yeah.
It works for them, because they have nothing to compare it to, so I get it. So at the very least, I get that it's not bad stuff. Like, it's not undigestible, but it's just a thing where it's like, there's only a couple of things in this whole thing that feel like,
that still feel anything like Preacher.
Well, I just mean like on the path of the storyline that like there's a few things that just like those things you shouldn't probably get too crazy far from, because those are like the high points. Those are the things that you don't tell people when you try to explain them the storyline. Like anytime you ever had to explain Preacher to somebody, Like anything you were like, well, okay, I don't want to give away that thing. Okay, let me tell you about. No, I don't want to give away that thing. Like these are all the
Right.
things you should never really tweak too hard because those are like the key things. And I feel like
Right.
So like my hope is at the very least with Tulip, she has the confrontation with God on some level because like she is dead. I mean,
Right.
and he is just hanging around, not doing nothing. And from the way Sam Catlin put it in the Talking Preacher was at the very least the thing to take away from that, which doesn't make any sense really contextually, but is to Jesse's on his radar as much as God is on Jesse's radar, kind of a thing. Like
Yeah.
God's aware, and I guess although you couldn't infer that from the scene, all he'll say about is that you should just kind of think that. So I think that's just leading towards next season. We'll get to see God finally like interact.
Bill-
Well, now that we did quote unquote see him.
I wanted to go back. I know Dom had said he wanted to talk about it. When are we getting the big info dump from Genesis? Like, are we actually going to get it in season 3?
It has to be. Like I didn't think we really needed it this season, but I think we really need it next season. I don't think we can go on after next season without.
Dom,
Yeah.
I don't
I think it'll
disagree
be too
with
much.
I don't disagree with you, Dom. I just feel like we are so far removed from the last time we even saw Genesis, and it was
well,
like
'cause
talked
he
about
can't
as
use
being
it, yeah.
anything more than a power. Like, in those first 3 or
know
4
what?
episodes, they talk about
I'm gonna make a
Genesis as a
prediction.
separate entity.
I got a prediction.
Ooh, and your
Well, we're not
prediction
gonna- we're
last
not
time
gonna
was
see
good.
this. We're not going to see Jesse doing anything until he's get anything like this until he's got his soul back.
Quite possibly. I think what you might get is a hybrid thing where this
Prediction time.
that next season, like maybe that's where he's going to end up taking the acid and having that whole peyote fucking moment with the snake and the voodoo and stuff, because that's where he's going to be. He's going to be in the middle of all that kind of crazy spiritualism. So if he's trying to find a way to figure out what's going on with the word, he needs to figure out a way to speak to Genesis or communicate with it, right? Maybe that's where he's going to go. He's going to seek answers within, some shit like that. That'll be the tagline for next season on all the posters. Find the sin within you.
That would be pretty dope.
But
I would love
maybe
that.
I'm thinking maybe that's the way they go with it, because they do kind of like combine these elements and they want to kind of smush these things together, and they're not leaving Louisiana if if that
Right.
continues, and will we actually? Here's another question to kind of bring us away from this other stuff. Those children of blood, les enfants do something whatnots, whatever they were called.
Les enfants do something.
Do
No,
song,
do song for blood.
song. I until they were both in the car together, I was thinking once we saw that on the screen, I'm like, okay, maybe we will get Cassidy wandering off on his own and having this kind of little side thing, and maybe still to some degree, who knows? Maybe the guys chase him out of the property or something, or he fucking manages to escape. Who knows?
Yeah.
Whatever. But point being, like, do you think we'll see him? I mean,
I think so.
they hinted that we're going to get more Cassidy backstory next season.
If they've done that and they put that little Easter egg in this episode,
They must, right?
it has to.
All right. So let's, you know what? Let's start hitting up the old social media stuff and email, and then we'll wrap it up. So we got an email here from Stephanie Muniz,
Steffi.
host of the Gotham Lights podcast.
Hey, Steph.
Podcast.
No, it's not podcast. It's actual podcast.
All right.
All right. And it's all about Gotham. So if you dig that, check it out.
Hey, Bill.
Newest episode. Palmer. Hey, slow down. I got it, buddy. I know you're a producer.
Uncle Jay.
What did I just say? They say I got it. Is that the delay backfiring on me? All right. Yeah. Uncle Jay, regular of our other show, is actually on their most recent episode of Gotham Lights hanging out and kibitzing and whatnot. I haven't finished. I got halfway through and then I had to do this show. So I'll be getting back to that. So let's see here. She says, howdy, pilgrims. It's Steph, and yes, this means I did watch the finale, because I think in her last email she was like, I'm done.
Right.
But she goes, I have a question for you all. Was it just me, or did anyone else get the sense that teenage Jesse was the Angelville version of Colonel Sanders? As a matter of fact, I did. I wish I could say that I read this beforehand. I would have left the joke for you. I mean, come on. he'd even have a Chekhov gun. I mean, chicken.
Yep. He did have a chicken with him.
So anyway, I have to say that I'm interested to see how Featherstone manages to talk her way out of this one. Also, kudos on being very close with your guesses on what Hoover did with the Saint in the back of the truck. Thank you. Of course, Air Star has Jesse's soul. He has to keep this less unruly Messiah on a leash as well. So that's a good point. That's what he's going to do. He's just going to keep that on the distance. Jesse Custer, basically a flight risk. Who would have guessed? But I digress. Again, even though Jesse went running when Cassidy called, it still didn't feel genuine. But I did think Jesse willingly going back to Angelville to ask Grandma for some help, Tulip saving Voodoo, was finally a step in the right direction. Anyway, that'll do it for me. And I guess she just kind of means in the general sense of them going there and tying things kind of together, general direction. So, I mean, that's all that I've had my sights on since the show started was Angelville, and feeling like that was going to make or break it,
Absolutely.
But anyway, that'll do it for me. Take care, all. So that's our pal there. I got some spam mail, but that's we're not going to read that. They're representing an interest in Thailand, looking for some investment partners. But
That sounds like it could be funny.
It could be. No, they want me to click a link. I'm not going to do that.
No bad English?
No, I didn't get that deep. I'm running on a line. We've done that bit, and I know it doesn't always work. So let's go to a thing here. Let's go to a couple of tweets that were, because I always posed a question like, hey, what are you thinking? So from Brent Griffiths, it's a little side thought, but I've said it before, it would be a missed opportunity if Rooker didn't play Jody in season 3.
Wow.
Yeah, that's actually pretty good.
That's good.
That alone.
Yeah, Michael Rooker, that's actually a pretty good one.
And he's
He's
got a
crazy as
relationship
fuck.
with AMC.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Who knows? But maybe he's got to film that Ravagers spin-off.
Yeah. Jesse, what are you doing down there, Jesse?
I'm at Rapper Joe.
I'll tell you what, man. TC, I'll tell you what.
I would like him as TC, too, though.
Like, either way, right?
like-
Either way. I'll take him as grandma.
I'm at Rapper Joe.
I'll kill your girlfriend. All right.
What else we got on that?
So, from Preacher Wiki, season 3 needs to start with Jesse and Cassidy carrying Tulip's body to Grandma with Johnny Cash's cover of Hurt playing in the background. I'm like, yo, you're trying to make me cry or something here, buddy.
What about Leper Messiah?
Leper Messiah. I don't know. Not a lot of thrash. Not a lot of thrash being played. Enough thrash being played on it.
All right.
They get close with some punk, but
Let's leave 1981.
before we go down that rabbit hole.
It's actually 1984.
Yeah, let's get it straight, okay? I mean, let's get on top of these things. We're gonna talk about fucking Metallica for half an hour.
83,
You
84.
don't like that? All right. So I did ask people like what they thought was some highlights of the season because there was some pretty fun stuff this
Yeah,
season. And
absolutely.
so Alex Jameson, who kind of hit us up a couple times now, getting to see the coffin, Star's recruitment, the Billy Joel fight season,
Yeah.
and like to be frank, most of the fights. And he says the build up to Fiora saying "I just don't give a shit" to Jesse. I guess that was in the Mumbai episode, maybe.
Yeah, that feels like it was so long ago.
Yeah, that's a funny thing too, right? That how that first second episode. What was the first one with Mumbai?
I think it was the
Skytown?
second episode.
Well, I ran for a couple, so.
Yeah, it was somewhere in the first 3.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Let me just I'm just trying to, lost track a little bit. I got to find my original tweet. Thank you. I'll go to that. Now I can see them all. So, Chad Rose, the inimitable Chad Rose, says Mumbai Tower Hotel with the Fiora story was funny. And then sad when I realized seeing the two back together may never actually happen on screen. The Fear and Loathing, this is from Kenny Kearney. The Fear and Loathing homage with Cassidy and Fiora getting high as hell in a hotel.
Absolutely.
The constant Jesse and Cassidy debate over the baby formula is made of foreskins. Does that make us all cannibals? And then the Saint of Killers and his book on tape that reveals his ultra-violent past. Yeah, there was a lot of crazy shit this season. That was actually pretty cool. And I feel like it does keep coming back to the fight scenes, though. The whole montages. They do their montages. They love their montages, kind of thing. Something just anything set to music works for them.
Had we had more Jesse fight scenes in the back half of the season, I think I would have been a more satisfied customer. In the finale, when he really threw down with the Armenians, I was like, yeah, that's actually what I've been missing. Yes, more of this.
Yeah. True. There really wasn't that much action this season, though. Then, like, when you think about it,
it's like these small bursts,
which I don't have a problem with at all.
No, yeah. But like in season 1, they did like set pieces.
Yeah.
Like in season 1, it's the whole chainsaws with the blood in the church, and then it's the whole thing with the clones in the hotel room, and like whereas here it's like some really cool, intense, short, meaty fight scenes, but it's not like they were really kind of getting inventive on a broader stroke, like
Yeah.
All right.
That's it for it on the Twitters.
Yeah, kind of, because I'm getting lost in the stream here, because I feel like I did post 2 things, but I guess that was it. All right, enough.
Hey, Bill.
Yeah, Palmer. Talk to me.
I just want to thank Chad NV and James Beham for showing up and chatting with me in the Mixler chat.
How are those boys doing?
Oh wow, I didn't even. Fuck.
I didn't realize. I did see Chad was in there, then he was out, and then I didn't go back in.
And we didn't come up with a game, huh?
Wrong show.
I know, but still, keep them busy. You know what I mean?
No. But so James B. Ham actually says, so your answer is the season as a whole isn't worth watching. I wouldn't say that. I would say you just have to kind of know what you're getting into. That, like, if you're look, different people different ways. If like Agent Palmer, like, doesn't have, the same, it doesn't land the same way with him, like, to get kind of worked up in that way that maybe we do as fans of a thing. So not every fan of a thing is like that. Not everybody who loves like Game of Thrones books is actually annoyed or bothered by things other Game of Thrones fans are.
Right. And you got to remember too, we're just more in love with the book.
Yeah.
Someone who has
You've had more time than me too
isn't going to know the difference. This is still going to be a fairly good quality show for them.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We, as fans of the books, know where it really should be going, and when we see points where they have opportunities to really do well, and then they falter and they do things like this Tulip death instead of the way it is in the book, then it becomes a disappointment because we see the missed opportunity.
Oh yeah. That's I think that's a universal thing for a fan of a thing where it's like here's the guide. Why aren't you following the guide?
Yeah. And some, like Bill said, more people are going to be more open to the differences in the material.
Right. It's just how some things land with people.
Right.
I genuinely feel bad at ranting so much about this finale, which, absent my knowledge of the books, was an enjoyable finale. There was, like I say, the kind of the goofy stuff. There's very serious stuff. I thought the Cassidy Denis resolution was surprising, and the way it was motivated and played out, even though we kind of saw it coming. It did a nice. Overall, it was a good season. I credit them for creating this world, sticking with these characters, deepening them. I haven't always liked the way they've done it, but again, that's the book knowledge. That's not the show's fault. So really well done. Actors well acted. Featherstone was great. Hair Star was amazing. So yeah, the complaints we have, I think, are nitpicking book complaints, but overall, it's a good show. You just have to appreciate it for what it is, and that's hard to do, especially when we all get together because we all come from a very similar background. So one of us gets going, and we're all like, yeah, that. So don't let our
you get the nerd up.
Man and woman
the nerd blood gets going.
And I'll say that too, James. James, you've heard us a long time. Like, I'm sure you could probably in your own head, because he was like, no, scroll down and see what my actual question was. And then, he's got a fair point. But I think the thing is that just like, who the fuck away? Give it a shot. You'll like it or you'll hate it. You'll either keep up with it or you'll go. And if you've been listening to us, you know how it goes. So,
right.
We've already laid out the groundwork. It'll feel familiar. There's that. It'll be like, oh yeah, that's what the boys were talking about. Okay, I see. and you can just kind of like, it's more like playing along with us in your head. How about that
Right.
instead? So if you're looking for a reason to re-listen to these episodes, go catch up on Preacher, then every episode stop and listen to us for an extra hour and a half.
There you go.
But with that, I think unless anybody else is getting the last second question in there in the chat room, but they're not, I'm going to take my eyes off of the chat and we're going to close it up. So with that, I think the thing to say is a reminder that people can keep trying to promote the heck out of us and win a copy of Absolute Preacher. Chad NV doesn't have to win this.
Yeah, it's still possible for someone to not sleep for the next several days and create enough content
Couple days. Day and a half.
to challenge Chad for the book.
Look, I'll give it to the guy. He's made a GIF. He made a YouTube video. He redubbed a clip from the show.
Wait, I gotta look for the YouTube.
Yeah. Well, that's the one. That's the one. I mean, that's this clip. But yeah. So yeah. Sure. Your work is against you, but like you want that poster. Just draw some fan art, I guess. I don't know.
Right.
But anyway. Go check it out at wickedtheory.com. There's a link up in the top corner. It'll take you to all the info you really need to know about how to enter that. And with that, we're going to thank our guests, season-long guests of Sara Netzley and Agent Palmer.
Yes.
We want to thank you guys.
Love you guys.
Thank you.
Wasn't there
Thank
something
you.
mentioned about Sara?
I teased it. Saturday, if you
Okay.
want to know a little something about Sara, listen to us live on Saturday on Mixler, on the Wicked Theory Show. Or on Monday when it gets posted up on podcast feeds. But
Yes. If I think I know what it is, and it sounds like it's a pretty cool thing. Sounds like it's going to be.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think it might be a cool thing.
Yeah, I think it's going to.
I hope it's a cool thing.
Yeah, I think.
I
so.
hope it's at least a
It's going to
thing.
be a cool thing.
It's
okay.
definitely a thing.
It's definitely a thing.
The thing
And
is, will it be a good thing or a bad thing or a great thing?
I don't know, but it's going to be out of my hands is all I'll say. So at least it won't be my fault.
I'm thinking it's going to be a good thing.
We're done.
Possibly
We're
a great
done.
thing.
Palmer's like, you're being too
we're-
close to telling it.
We need to actually. We teased it already. It's done.
Yeah.
You go
Yeah, I
any
need to do more.
further, and there's no reason for people to listen on Saturday other than the normal shenanigans.
No, we should
Palmer
tease it even more.
producing the hell out of this show.
No, but
Damn.
working within that parameter of what he's getting at, I think we need to
Yeah.
build it up a little bit more. Is it really a thing, like tangible, or is it like a concept? And I'm like, I don't know, man. I think it's like an idea.
I am going to make the Statue of Liberty disappear.
Holy shit!
Oh, I may have just overpromised.
What's the saying? It's a conundrum wrapped in an enigma,
Wrapped in
wrapped in a
a burrito.
folded up into a riddle.
There you go. Folded up, stuffed in your mailbox. So yeah, you can hear more about Sara and what she'll be having going on soon. Palmer,
Yeah.
people can check out your stuff, your posts, your pop culture ravings and rantings and reviews. Maybe not in that order. Maybe not all of those, but definitely reviews at agentpalmer.com. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Would you concur?
I would concur. I would also say that they could tweet me at Agent Palmer if they disagree with anything that happened at all from anyone here tonight.
It was
And
great. The feed like buzzed, clipped when like the second you said Palmer. It was great. It was like Agent Palmer, and I was like, what?
And then you didn't get the rest of it.
Yeah, it was great. No. So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off and ruin your plug.
no. I was
I
doing
want
a
you to
plug
know.
for what have you. Yeah. The only other thing is at the end of September, starting
Oh,
on
yeah.
September 24th, I'm doing a week of coffee posts.
A week of
So
coffee posts.
yeah, 7 posts in 7 days, all about the beverage that makes Wicked Theory possible.
That's true. I cannot lie about that. And if people hold tight, maybe they'll hear a little promo for that. And that's it. And I think really the thing to say is we want to thank everybody who's listened, people who listen on the regular but don't reach out. You know, we see numbers, we know you're there, so thank you much for putting up with us or listening to us, liking us. Maybe you just you agree. And
Love you guys.
But we don't know you're there
Either
or something. maybe you like our rantings. But really appreciate you guys doing that and giving us a shot and listening and then
Yes,
lingering
absolutely.
longer, as they say. Let's just plug it on the way out, I guess, because that's how we know it's over. You can follow me at Wicked Theory on Twitter. You can follow Dom,
At Dom_Tory.
T-O-R-E. You can follow Bob.
At Bob WTPC.
And once again, Sara Netzley's on Twitter, SARANETZLEY, and Agent Palmer as well. Thank you again for listening. Until the end of the world, Pilgrims, or at least season 3. You know what I'll do?
Attention listeners, Agent Palmer presents the week of coffee. Oh, did you say coffee? Yes, I did. From September 24 through September 30, 7 posts in 7 days about all things coffee. Oh boy, that's a lot of coffee. Is there gonna be cake or donuts? No, it's just a whole week devoted to the Java. Not even croissants? No, but you like history, traditions, myths, and more, don't you? Hey, you're putting me to sleep, buddy. Well, grab a cup of joe and go to agentpalmer.com/coffee to see what's brewing. I don't think Joe's gonna like that very much, Mr. Announcer Man.